Ray Brown's Talking Birds.
Made possible by the generous support of the Birdwatchers General Store, Orleans, Cape Cod. Birdwatchersgeneralstore.com.
And by Vortex Optics with the VIP warranty. Their unlimited lifetime promise to keep you and your optic covered. Learn more at vortexoptics.com.
Happy New Year, and welcome to our show number 1071, our first of 2026. Well, good luck to everybody doing a Christmas bird count as we do our show live here on the 4th of January, a couple of days to go on the Christmas bird count. Maybe you can still hop on one, check with your local bird club or Audubon chapter. Otherwise, you can do a Google search for Christmas bird count. Get the details you can plan ahead for next year. Meanwhile, here's more proof you never know what you might see out there, Christmas bird count or otherwise, thanks to our British Columbia correspondent, Trevor Fletcher, for telling us about the taiga flycatcher spotted just a few days ago in Vancouver. Apparently the first record of the bird ever in Canada. A Google search will reveal the story. Just look for taiga flycatcher. Taiga is T-A-I-G-A. We'd planned on airing an audio postcard from the Santa Cruz Mountains today, but we'll have that next week instead. We do have a mystery bird, though. There it is now. If you're new to our show, we want to let you know we do a mystery bird contest every week in which we play the sound of a bird, as we just did there, and give some clues, and then invite you to call in for some pretty nice prizes. Our mystery bird is a very large waterfowl species, weighing as much as 26 pounds, with a wingspan of 6 to 8 feet. It's white, except for a black facial patch, black bill, and black legs. Our bird winters in southeast Alaska, western British Columbia, and the northwestern U.S. mainland, and breeds in northern Alaska and northwest Canada. It's mostly a vegetarian, feeding on a wide range of aquatic plants, occasionally supplemented by small fish and fish eggs. That's our bird, and our prizes are beautiful for relaxing and energizing from Plain Products, that's Plain with an E, whose mission is to provide clean, sustainable products in reusable aluminum bottles, not plastic. Good for both your body and the planet. It's a 4-part travel kit: shampoo, conditioner, body wash, and body lotion. And a big bag of our favorite coffee, shade-grown, bird-friendly, truly delicious Birds and Beans coffee grown under the natural forest canopy in Central America. And here's a little pat on the back for Birds and Beans. In spite of the tariffs and other price pressures, they have kept their prices stable with no price increase. Prizes there and the sound and clues on the bird, and we'll give the clue or give the cue to call in just a little bit later on in our show here. We're happy to salute and welcome another Talking Birds ambassador, helping us get the word out there about our show and about birds and conservation. Thanks to Barbara Hickam from Shrewsbury, Massachusetts. She says, I love watching birds on my feeder and my backyard. Talking Birds is getting me more excited about watching and learning about birds. Well, that is good to know, Barbara. Thanks for that thought and for becoming a Talking Birds ambassador. Meanwhile, thank yous here to our newest ambassadors' family members who got us past our 1,000 ambassadors goal just before the end of 2025. So thanks to Matt, Tom, Barbara, Steve, Lindsay, Valerie, Justin, Richard, and Elizabeth. New ambassadors welcome, of course. To become one, just visit talkingbirds.com and click on the Get Involved tab at the top of the homepage. Well, still to come today, author Ryan Goldberg will tell us about the joys of New York City birding and his wonderful new book, Bird City: Adventures in New York's Urban Wilds. Plus, Mike O'Connor will join us for Let's Ask Mike, almost live from the archive, today on the topic of suet alternatives at your bird feeders. And up next, today's featured feathered friend, presented by the Bigger and Better BWD magazine. with each large format issue packed with beautiful photographs, illustrations, and in-depth articles. Experience birds up close with BWD at bwdmagazine.com. We sometimes feature rare or little-known birds as featured feathered friends, but not this time. Today's bird covers pretty much the entire northern half of the lower 48, and then some, from northern Arizona up to Washington in the west, and from the mid-Atlantic states to Maine in the east, along with most of Alaska and Canada. It's the black-capped chickadee, a familiar small sparrow-sized songbird with a black bib and cap, black eyes that are hard to see at the edge of that black cap, a gray back, gray wings edged in white, buffy flanks, and a white chest and belly. The black-capped chickadee is the state bird of Massachusetts and possibly of Maine, although the Maine legislature still officially says that the chickadee is the state bird, without naming a specific species. The black-capped is also the provincial bird of New Brunswick, Canada. According to the Cornell Lab of Ornithology, the black-capped chickadee replaces old neurons in its tiny brain with new ones every fall, allowing them to adapt to changes in their social flocks and environment. And that tiny brain allows the bird to remember the locations of thousands of seeds that it hides for later consumption. These energetic birds, known for frequenting feeders in the face of fierce snowstorms, manage to keep warm at night even in below-zero temperatures without huddling together, almost always sleeping in their own individual cavities, and often doing their own excavations in soft wood for roosting and nesting holes. Many birds that associate with flocks of black-capped chickadees are known to respond to their alarm calls, which sound like this. As more of those DDD sounds are added, they're essentially indicating greater perceived danger. A few months from now, the male's spring song will be heard. Females occasionally sing too, in what's thought to be a way of saying, "Here I am." It's Poecilia atricapillus, today's Talkin' Birds featured feathered friend, the black-capped chickadee. Welcome again to our show, number 1071. Did I get that number right? I think I did. I'll check it and report back later. Well, one of the great things about birding, of the many great things, is that birds are everywhere. And that certainly includes urban areas, cities, and it most certainly includes New York City. Ryan Goldberg has written a new book about birds there, a fascinating, educational, and entertaining book called Bird City, Adventures in New York's Urban Wilds. And he's here to tell us something about it. Good morning, Ryan.
Hey, Ray. Thanks for having me.
Our pleasure. Thanks for being here, Ryan. Well, I'm wondering how you decided to write this book. What were your inspirations?
Yeah, so this was actually my first book. I've been a reporter for over 25 years, and I've written about a lot of different things before I started birding, which came in 2016 in Brooklyn, where I live and have lived my whole adult life. So I became an obsessive birder really after that point, after 2016. And it really, in New York, opened my eyes up to this world of birds and people that I didn't know existed before. And as a longtime reporter, my curiosity was immediately sparked. And it took about 5 years before I finally realized that this incredible subject was right underneath my nose and I should write about it. And so I began work on the book in 2022. And it is really a chronicle of following the seasons of New York City, which is something that as an urban dweller, you don't always think about the seasons, the changing of the colors and the winds and migration. And it was an opportunity for me to kind of write about this fascinating community of people, of birders, of scientists that are studying urban bird life, and to really follow it over time.
You've really added a whole new layer, really, you could say, to all the other aspects of New York City. Well, Central Park is pretty famous for a lot of things, birds included, subject of films, documentaries, and more, but the cover of your book highlights another place that features prominently in the book. We see a scarlet tanager and a Blackburnian warbler and a Baltimore oriole perched on signs. And the oriole sign says Project Park West. I wonder if you'd tell us about that special place. And another Brooklyn spot that you feature, Greenwood Cemetery.
Yeah, so the cover of the book captures my own view of an outer borough resident. I've always lived in outer boroughs. I've never lived in Manhattan for 20 years. So it's my view, really, of living in Brooklyn and looking into the core of the city. And as you said, there have been a number of books written about Central Park and some great documentaries made as well about Central Park and the birding there. But Prospect Park is Brooklyn's alternative to Central Park, and Brooklyn birders are very passionate about it and might say it's an even better place for birding. There's some deep history there. I won't get into it now, but same designers, Olmsted and Vaux, designed both Central Park and Prospect Park. And then Greenwood Cemetery was actually opened about a little more than 20 years before Central Park. And so Greenwood Cemetery, which is also in Brooklyn, was actually the inspiration for the designers of Central Park and Prospect Park. And it's a place that has rolling glacial hills and ponds. And today, the horticulturists at Greenwood are rewilding much of the cemetery to make it better for birds. So anyway, these are two places that have seen close to 300 species of birds. And, so much of that action happens during migration. And these are just fantastic places that through the course of my reporting, I wanted to be able to show all 5 boroughs. But at the end of the day, as a Brooklyn resident, and these places are very dear to me, I think many of the chapters or the seasons of the book often do come back to these 2 places.
As you say a lot about migration in your book, and you wonder about whether the relatively small green spaces in the city are big enough to host a lot of migrating birds, whether they represent an oasis or just a mirage. But you have a pretty clear answer about that, I believe.
Yeah, it is an oasis. These places are an oasis. And so anybody who's flown into New York City, especially if you've flown into LaGuardia Airport, the plane often comes over the city pretty low, and you just see the paucity of green spaces. And so New York City is about 300 square miles of land, and only 12% of that is considered natural areas. And that means that birds are being funneled into places, these few green spaces in the city. And they're actually really, I sought to find some research that had been done on really testing, are migrating birds refueling in these places, and are they actually being able to continue their migrations in kind of good health? And there was only one ornithologist I found that really had studied that and found that birds were putting on the weight they needed in some of the big parks in New York City, just as well as they did in sort of suburban parks outside the city.
Inevitably, your book talks a lot about the challenges facing birds in an urban environment. Lots of heroes doing great things to try to help. One of them is the New York City Plover Project. Give us a thumbnail of that, if you could, Ryan.
Sure. The New York City Plover Project started in 2021. It was started by someone named Chris Alieri, and he became a birder in the pandemic. And like many people in New York City, many of the birders in New York have started during that really difficult time. Chris started the Plover Project because he was going out to the Rockaways, which is the sort of barrier beaches in New York where piping plovers nest. And plovers are the only endangered bird that nests in New York City. And he saw like so many challenges for them to be nesting on the Rockaways, and they had not and still struggle to have great success in their productivity on the Rockaways. And so the Plover Project that he started was a way to essentially protect these birds, to have volunteer manpower on the beaches, and to help the National Park Service, which is controls these beaches, to essentially speak to people and let them know that there were areas they could not cross. And it has grown tremendously. And from that first season, I think they had 30 volunteers. The season that I wrote about was their third one, 2023, and since then they've continued to grow.
Wonderful. Well, the book covers a lot of territory, including even a heartbreaking look back at the World Trade Center attacks of September 11th, 2001, and the really ironic twist when the Tribute to Light was created as a remembrance of that day and how it turned out to be a tragic turn for birds. There's an amazing section in your book about that, tragic yet amazing. Another famous place in the city spanning parts of Brooklyn and Queens is the Jamaica Bay Wildlife Refuge, and one of the great characters there, Don Reapy, whom you feature in a chapter called The Guardian. I think you could describe him maybe as one of the heroes of the book, along with so many others, folks doing great work cleaning up the Bronx River, for example. And Ryan, as I think you've said, essentially your book is maybe as much about people as it is birds.
Yeah, absolutely. And such interesting, colorful, sometimes eccentric people. I think what really amazed me when I became a birder and then joined this community myself, joining the Brooklyn Bird Club, was just how passionate the people were, and honestly how much of a difference a small community can make. Mm-hmm. And so you mentioned the Bronx River. There's a group called the Bronx River Alliance that has worked for decades on the restoration of this very polluted, contaminated river, which is the only freshwater river in all New York. Don Reapy is a 86-year-old naturalist who lives on Jamaica Bay, which is this large estuary, and he has lived almost all his life on the bay, working to restore it, to create and maintain this really important habitat for all types of birds and other wildlife. And the book is really driven by the stories of people that I meet along the way, some of whom I've known for a while. And it really shows that this New York City, a city of 8.5 million people, is actually very much shaped by both birds, but then also birders. Mm-hmm.
Ryan Goldberg's book is Bird City, Adventures in New York's Urban Wilds. It's a great one, and it's now available wherever you get your books. It's on audiobook, too. Ryan, good luck with the book, and thanks for sharing it with us.
Thank you so much, Ray.
Ryan Goldberg here on Talking Birds. By the way, Ryan will be in San Rafael, California on January 13th at Buteo Books with a special event there. You can follow him at ryangoldberg.net. Up next here on Talking Birds, it's our Mystery Bird Contest in just 1 minute. The flutter of a tail feather, the flash of a wing bar in mid-flight. You don't always have a lot of time to identify a bird in nature, let alone to appreciate its beauty. But with Vortex Optics, you'll have the power to bring every wild moment closer. When you choose Vortex, you're choosing to have a partner in the field as passionate about nature as you are. Whether you're spotting old friends on the backyard feeder or packing for a once-in-a-lifetime trip to add a few species to your life list, Vortex offers a full range of optics and optics accessories for every birder and every budget. And whether the birds are taking you to another state or another country, you're always covered by the Vortex VIP warranty, an unlimited lifetime promise to keep you and your optic covered. If you'd like to learn more, or if you need help choosing your next optic, give Vortex a call at 1-800-4VORTEX or visit vortexoptics.com. Not a lot of time for our Mystery Bird Contest. So if you have a thought about what that bird is, please call us as soon as possible. I'm going to give the number and then I'll repeat it. 781-837-4900 is the number. Once again, it's 781-837-4900. Our mystery bird, a large waterfowl species, very large, weighing as much as 26 pounds, with a wingspan of 6 to 8 feet. White plumage with a black facial patch, black bill, and black legs. Our bird winters in southeast Alaska, western British Columbia, northwestern U.S. mainland, and breeds in northern Alaska Northwest Canada, mostly a vegetarian, feeding on a wide range of aquatic plants, and that would be our Mystery Bird Beautiful Prizes from Plain Products. It's a 4-part travel kit: shampoo, conditioner, body wash, and body lotion. Everything from Plain Products, by the way, is biodegradable, color safe, free of parabens, sulfates, and toxins, and contained in reusable aluminum bottles, not plastic. Plus a big bag of our favorite coffee, shade-grown, bird-friendly, and truly delicious Birds and Beans coffee. What's that, Mystery Bird? Give us the answer or take your guess. No correct answer means a drawing determines the winner, and that number again is 781-837-4900. Meanwhile, almost live from the archive, it's Let's Ask Mike in just 1 minute.
This place has a pulse. You hear it in the canopy, feel it in the ground. Life, fully illuminated, engulfs you. From the birds singing in the treetops above to the tiniest insects in the soil below. You take a deep, cleansing breath, filling your lungs with the essence of the forest. Now, imagine it's all gone. Healthy, life-giving forests reduced to nothing. No singing birds, no lush canopy, and water and food in short supply around the world. Time is running out to protect our forests, and without our love, they can and will disappear. It's our choice. Love it or lose it. Help protect our forests. Visit World Wildlife Fund at wwf.org/love.
Mike O'Connor is there at the famous Birdwatchers General Store, Orleans, Cape Cod, where this morning the topic is suet alternatives. Good morning, Mike.
Good morning, Ray. I'm kind of comfortable today after listening to the show.
That's what our show is, comfortable, according to our one of our newest ambassadors, Daniel Hodges, down there in Lampasas, Texas. Yeah.
Speaking of ambassadors, I had some of your friends from Jamestown, Rhode Island, Candy and Chris, and some of their friends stopped by the store yesterday, and they're all excited, raving about your show. And I got out of towners visiting, and in the winter I let them in, so that's fine.
Were they comfortable? Is there really the question?
That's the key.
Candy and Chris Powell there from Jamestown. Wonderful birders and advocates for birds and conservation as well. So, alternatives for suet. I have a feeling we're talking about something vegetarian here. Have I got that right?
Yeah, there's a lot of birders who are vegetarians or just don't want to support the cattle industry, and suet certainly does that. So the alternative is fairly inexpensive, and you don't even need to buy a special feeder. I'm talking about peanut butter. Now, suet and peanut butter both supply protein for birds in the winter, especially when they can't get insects. And we're talking about like woodpeckers or wintering warblers and nuthatches. Some wrens will be looking for this alternative. And so you can use peanut butter if you don't want to use suet, and you don't have to buy a fancy feeder. You can just take a short log like a foot long or maybe a 2x4, drill a couple of small holes in it, put an eye hook at the top, and just hang it off your tree branch, and then smear peanut butter in those holes, and you'll get a variety of birds coming picking it out. Or if you don't have a drill, you can use bottle caps. Take some bottle caps and tack those on the log, and that way you can put the peanut butter in there, and then those are easily removed for cleaning. So that's a good alternative. Kind of a homemade project on a rainy day like we have going on today. Yeah. So that would be a good alternative. Some people make vegetarian suet with vegetable shortening, which is a good idea. Except you just got to be careful. A lot of vegetable shortening comes with the dreaded palm oil that we all worry about. Apparently, I see a lot of recipes, and you can look these up for using coconut oil as an alternative. I guess they have their own series of environmental problems too, but that's a little, I guess, less evil, and you can make your own and more traditional kind of suet with some seeds and put it in a mold for that. There's a company I want to give a shout out to. It's called Suet Plus, made by a company called Wildlife Sciences. They make suet like all the other suet that we buy. There's nothing not vegetarian about it, except regular suet that I buy from a million different companies. They take these little suet, put it in a plastic container. It's like a 6x6 plastic container, and they pour it in there, and then they shrink wrap it, and then we put it in our feeders. Well, this company decided we've got enough plastic in the world, so they don't use a plastic container. They just make these little blocks of suet and then put a little cellophane around them, and you can put those out. So I would look for that. That's kind of a least plasticky alternative, because plastic, especially suet plastic, is really hard to recycle if they recycle it at all. So this is a good way of getting around that, if you can. And speaking of exciting birds coming to a feeder, I just had a winter wren on my feeder 2 seconds before. So there you go, Bat.
And you had a Baltimore Oriole earlier, I think you said.
Oh, I'm telling you, maybe I'll quit work and just stay home and look out the window all day long.
Wow. What about avocado toast? No, that's never mind. That's a vegetarian. But anyway.
We'll get. Yeah. All right, I'll start working on that for next week.
All right. Talk to you then.
Okay.
Mike O'Connor here. On Talking Birds. We'll be back next week, but right now we're back to the Mystery Bird Contest one more time, trying to identify this very large waterfowl species. And we have Aaron, who's in Falmouth, Maine, Massachusetts, or England. Let's figure out which one it is. Hello, Aaron.
Hey, how you doing?
Doing all right. Aaron, which one of those places is it? I'm guessing not England. We don't get that many calls from Falmouth, England.
No, it's Massachusetts.
Massachusetts, on beautiful Cape Cod. Well, you heard the stuff about the bird there, Aaron. Clues and all of that. What do you say?
I was thinking it's a trumpeter swan.
I think it is a trumpeter swan as well. I believe that is the correct answer.
Yeah. I was just watching a YouTube video on that.
That's kidding.
How I know.
Oh, all right. Well, those YouTube videos really do come in handy. You probably saw them on their takeoff. They're famous for having to take this something like 100-meter long runway of open water. They've been described as sounding like a herd of galloping horses going across. Oh,
man, that would be crazy to see.
Indeed. I think we have time for a bonus question, Aaron, if you'd be interested.
Yeah, sure.
You could win that beautiful feather-friendly window protection kit. This is what do I call that? It's a multiple choice is what it is. So a new study has found that the beaks on songbirds on the UCLA campus seem to have become longer and thinner. That's in response to which event? Is it A, the 1992 Big Landers earthquake, B, the wildfires in January, or C, the COVID lockdowns? Which one of those do they think is causing this change in bird bills?
I'm not sure. I think I'm going to guess A, the earthquake.
The earthquake of 1992. Actually, it's the COVID lockdowns. This is what they're attributing it to. When animal behaviors changed because humans were staying home, what they call the anthropause. So a study showed that birds on the UCLA campus there that were hatched in 2021 and 2022 had longer and more slender beaks than birds in previous years. Scientists suspect that when campus dining halls and restaurants closed, the longer beaks were better suited to obtaining natural food sources. How about that?
Yeah. That's interesting.
That's the spleen there. Thanks to the New York Times, by the way, for that information. And thank you, Aaron. Congratulations. And if you'll stay on the line, we'll get your info.
Okay, thank you.
So much, Aaron. There in Falmouth, Massachusetts, correctly identifying the trumpeter swan as our mystery bird. We are just plumb out of time for this morning. Just a very quick plug for the Talking Birds Flock, a Facebook group for Talking Birds listeners. You'll find a lot of wonderful stuff there and some great pictures and things. Welcome to new members, David Ward and Ann Lawrence Hoffman. We are out of time for this morning's show. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you next week.
The bird show. I like that. I love it.
Ray Brown's Talking Birds.
Made possible by the generous support of the Birdwatchers General Store, Orleans, Cape Cod. Birdwatchersgeneralstore.com.
And by Vortex Optics with the VIP warranty. Their unlimited lifetime promise to keep you and your optic covered. Learn more at vortexoptics.com.